He was 29 years old when he retired from the NFL in March due to the physical and psychological toll from years of injuries. Yesterday at an event, Gronk became emotional when describing his decision to retire, but he left the door open for a return.
Maybe down the road, whenever, if I got to have that desire again, I got to have that passion, I got to have that fire, and I got to have that sustainability to know if I go back out there, I can sustain it every week, week in, week out. I'm not going to go out there and be beat the F up, you know, and feeling like crap. That's not the way to live. That's not the way to play football. I want to be clear to my fans. I needed to recover. I was not in a good place. Football was bringing me down, and I didn't like it. And I was losing that joy in life, like the joy. I'm sorry right now, but dang, I really was, and I was fighting through it. And I knew what I signed up for, and I knew what I was fighting through. And I knew I just have to fix myself.
You know, there's two totally separate pieces to what he just said, and I find them equally fascinating. Let's start with this man who exemplifies joy. I mean, there's no one who seems to be living their lives more joyfully than Rob Gronkowski. For the game to have taken the joy away from him as a former player, what do you hear when you hear him saying that?
Well, I hear him saying that he was beat up so much, and the emotional side of him is coming out because he misses the game. And because of the injuries, it removed him from the game. If you listen to him, he's saying to himself and to everybody, hey, I couldn't do it anymore because of these injuries. I need my body to recover, which tells me he'll be back in the NFL once he feels good again. Once he feels good again, I know he plays a violent position and his style is violent. Once he feels healthy, he'll be back on the field, whether it's in New England or with somebody else.
Yeah, I watched the end of Calvin Johnson's career in Detroit, and I was there. And Calvin is a lot like a Gronk or a Luck in regards to joyful guys. Really well-articulate guys when it comes to Andrew Luck. Kind of goofy, right? I watched Calvin walk in the locker room every day at 5 o'clock in the morning every day like a gingerly 80-year-old person, step by step. And literally you can see that joy turn to, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want this pain anymore. And you watched, and when I watched Andrew Luck's press conference or I watched Gronk talk right there, it takes me back to watching Calvin, and you literally saw his steps go, my body can't take this anymore.
And so he loves the game, but he didn't love what the game has done to him. The last 5 years, he's been on the injury report half of his games. And I heard someone today, a pretty wise guy in my estimation, say, you can't change your game, you just need to refine it. The way that Gronk plays, he can't change. He's big, he's physical. He's not Tony Gonzalez, who's just a receiving tight end. He's out there, he's blocking, plays 80 snaps a game. And I remember my rookie year, Joey Galloway, who was just on the program last year, played 16, 17 years in the league. He's coming underneath, catching a ball. I'm getting ready to try to light him up, and he's fast. And I'm tackling him. He kind of goes down right underneath. And I was like, man, Joey, look at him. He goes, you don't play 16 years by taking big hits, big dog. Mm-hmm. All Gronk did was take big hits.
Yeah.
He's not a finesse player, and he never will be able to do that.
And I think it's important to make this point as well, that it's not just the season for guys nowadays, because the money is so big and everyone wants this sprint to get to your second contract. Guys take like a week off now, and then they train January, February, March, April, May, June, July, and put their bodies through rigors to get ready for the season. So it's not just the games that wear on you. It's not just the practices in the season. It's the whole off season of beating your body and beating your body. Yes, guys know what they signed up for, but there's a reality to it.
The money is also, it's not a part of this to overlook, because these guys are financially secure now for multiple lifetimes. They don't have to keep playing if they don't want to. Rob Gronkowski, he made a lot of money. Andrew Luck made an incredible amount of money. And so did Calvin Johnson. Mm-hmm. So if they don't want to play anymore, they don't have to from that standpoint. And I can see saying to yourself, why am I putting myself through this?
I just think that when you talk about guys like Andrew Luck and Gronk, they love the game, and they're just hurting right now.
Right.
Yeah.
And when you're hurting,
So you
want to relax.
back?
I think both of them will be back in the NFL at some point.
Both back?
I don't see Gronk ever coming back. I can see Andrew Luck coming back.
I don't see Luck coming back, potentially Gronk at the end of the season, maybe next year.
For what it's worth, if Gronk wants to come back this season, he has to come back before week 13. Otherwise, he would not be eligible for the playoffs. All right, more on all these stories as we continue. But right now, let's get up and go. Starting in the NFL, the Dolphins have shown interest in trading for Texan star Jadeveon Clowney. Key, you like it?
I do. I do like the fact that they're going out and getting an edge rusher in a division with the quarterbacks and Tom Brady trying to get after him. But I like the Jets to go after him. Don't just let Miami get him. Take a look at it because the Jets need some help on the perimeter. Again, Tom Brady, the only way you're going to get the AFC East away from Tom Brady is get him on the ground.
He likes the Jets going after Jadeveon Clowney. We will see. Meanwhile, today signing a deal to play with the Beijing Ducks in the Chinese Basketball Association next year. Lin turned 31 last week. Still best known for his Linsanity stretch with the Knicks back in 2012. He did win a ring with the Raptors last season, but of course did not contribute a whole lot to that on the floor. We have some Laker news, but it comes from former Lakers today. Kobe Bryant asked about Shaquille O'Neal's work ethic at an event in Las Vegas, and he answered it in a way that I guess only Kobe possibly could. All right, I'm told that we just lost the sound. What a shame that is, especially after my brilliant build-up to it. But basically what Kobe said, if I remember it correctly, was he said, I wish Shaq had been in better shape and taking better care of himself. I would have 12 rings now. Jalen Rose, what do you think?
I think Shaq woke up this morning pretty upset about those comments, disappointed about those comments. I remember being on the floor with both of those guys, Greeny, when they won their first championship and thinking that this may be a real dynastic situation. And they did win 3 in a row. But then all of a sudden, I remember working on the other side when they were playing against the Nets and covering them. And you realize the fracture that took place within their team to the point where in 2004, when they lost to the Pistons, that broke up their future dynasty. Shaq wanted to get his money. He was dunking. He was telling Dr. Jerry Buss to pay him his money. It got ugly. And then Shaq went to Miami, joined D-Wade, won a championship, dropped the rap lyrics, Kobe, tell me how something tastes.
Yeah.
And then Kobe was like, I'm going to get a championship so very bad. And he ended up doing it with Paul Gasol.
And my sense of just watching these two enormously famous people from a distance is that they have, for the most part, buried the hatchet, right? Do we have it? All right, let's play it. I mean, we built it up here. I'm told we have it now. Here's what Kobe said.
Who would Shaq be if he had your work ethic?
He'd be the greatest of all time.
If Shaq had your work ethic,
he'd be the greatest of all time.
Greatest of all time by a mile.
Sure. He'd be the first to tell you that, for sure. I mean, this guy was a force like I have never seen. Man, this dude he did not care. He was mean. He was nasty. He was competitive. He was vindictive. I mean, I wish he was in the gym. I would have had 12 rings.
Okay, so you hear that. It's different than seeing a headline. Does that change? If you're Shaq, are you upset about that?
Well, Shaq is definitely upset about it, but I always used the analogy for Shaq was that he was the guy that could have been an A student, but he had a lot more fun being a B student. But we can't act like his career wasn't one of the all-time greats.
Yeah.
Shaq is one of the most dominant players to ever do it. I would say he's the 4th greatest center of all time, and that's not a diss when you're behind Russell, Wilt, and Kareem.
Yeah.
But overall, in his era, Shaq was extremely dominant.
I don't want to have this argument with you right now, but you would put him ahead of Olajuwon?
That's a tough conversation.
Well, you just named 3 people, and you didn't
right
say
off the
him,
top.
so
Right off the top.
It's a whole different conversation, but I didn't mean to get us there. I would just say, listening to that, I don't think Kobe thought he was dissing Shaq in saying that. Shaq can take it any way he wants.
Right.
But did you think Kobe thought he was saying
Kobe
something
did
nasty?
not believe he was dissing Shaq. You know why? He's been saying this to himself the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And he even told that to the public. And that's where it kind of eliminates a level of cold for different from former teammates, is that Kobe's been talking about this for a really long time. Shaq wasn't surprised to hear these comments.
All right, let us take a quick break here on Get Up. We have much more to do, including more on Antonio Brown. Is it time for John Gruden to sit AB down and tell him to just shut up? We'll get to the bottom of that. Plus, you know that Tua and Justin Herbert are considered top NFL prospects. But Mel Kiper has other quarterbacks who could be rising up draft boards this year. Don't miss Mel live with us. It's Get Up on ESPN.
We had a vocal receiver in here to talk about playing for Gruden. Oh, wait, there's Keyshawn.